All right. Now, where do I get my video URL? Okay. So, from here, I think I'm set up on my stream. All right. So I am trying to create a explosion within a bunker, and so I'm working on some post-process stuff and trying to get the scene ready and everything. All right. Yep. I am indeed set up, John. It took me a while to figure out how to get the things back in order, but I think I got it. All right. So I created a texture inside of EmberGen over here for some gas leakage or whatever. And so we can see that it's got like a little fade out, and I got my flipbook previewer over here. And what I did was I took this quick little simulation, ran a normal pass on it so that we get something like this. And you can see that it's kind of chugging a little bit to create these normals because it uses like 6 lights, I believe, to get this. And then from there, what I did was I said, all right, let's go ahead and import that. And I just wanted to make sure that it would work. So I've got my normal map plugged into here, and then I've just got the alpha channel plugged in to a simple alert into my refraction. And that gives me something that looks like this. So it's a little bit more dynamic than just a static texture. In this case, I mean, you probably don't need a flipbook. Yes, it will go on to the channel. All right. So, indeed. Cool, 7 people watching. So, what I'm trying to do is, you can see that we've got some distortive post-processing going on in here, as if the little chamber here, or room, or tunnel, or whatever is filled up with, what do you call it? Some gases or whatever. And let's see here, post-process. Which one is the correct one? I believe it's this one. Let's see, material. Okay, yeah, so this one. And so I need to expand this to fit throughout this corridor here. Oh, wrong thing. And so what I'm doing is I've got this, we've got the gas chamber leaking, and we can see the post-process affecting all throughout here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have it ignite kind of down this tunnel, blow this room out, and then let this destruction right here fall down. And so if I've got this, so we can see that before the stream started, I did like a quick little animation here. Let me see if I can start it. So I'll show my little sequencer. And here we go. So over here I've got this, and if I click play, we should see that this falls down after the explosion is supposed to happen. And so it's a cool little animation. And I'll probably add some more destruction and things like that as we go through and create this thing. So from here, I'm going to go back to my little sequencer and slide this up so that we don't have that. And I think what we'll do now is, so now that we've got some gas leaking and we can see that, which my post-process volume keeps changing scale. It will not save, and that is disappointing. Is this the right post-process? Ah, I'm doing the wrong one. All right, so let's see here. There we go. Expand this one again for the umpteenth dozen time. I guess using the actual scale thing doesn't work. Not sure why. Make sure that we kind of encompass that. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a camera kind of like showing this right here, and then we'll try to ignite it somehow. All right. So anyway, let me save my scene here. And now what we'll do is we will try to create an explosion within EmberGen to kind of fill this tunnel up. So what we can do is, one thing I could do to make it easy and quick is kind of show, I guess, like a preset or whatever of what we could do. So we'll take this rolling gasoline explosion that I made. So we've got this, and we could use this right here as a texture with motion vectors and things like that to kind of go through the tunnel, and we'll see if we can't get something that looks kind of nice. But we could also try and do something from scratch, just so that you guys can see kind of like the workflow and how quick it is. So let me just look at a couple things here. Okay, so fuel strength of 2. Various settings. All right, so not that much cooling on the fire, and let's see, we've got all right, so that's the temperature, and our flame density scale is like 0.37. all right, so from here I think I can recreate this from scratch pretty easily. Let me just look at this again. All right, so not that much fuel loss. Got it. All right, so the easiest way to start over in EmberGen right this second is to just reload the software. So you can see that this right here is your default setup that you kind of have. And what we can do from here is we can go ahead and start kind of building out the explosion. Oh, fuck off. Microsoft updates or warnings or whatever. All right, so from here, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that our emitter is a sphere, which indeed it is. And actually for this, we could probably do a torus, which might give us some better results here. And so then what we can do is we'll say, okay, we want to, I don't know, make the torus bigger. And so we can animate some things down here on the timeline. And so we'll go ahead and say, all right, our outer radius, let's go here and do something like this. Actually, we'll start at 0 and we'll come out here to like frame 40 so that it has time to warm up with our vorticity and things like that. So now if we restart the sound, we have something that looks like this. And so it's just a quick little burst. And we could probably make this quite a bit bigger. And then maybe we want to change our inner radius as well. So we'll go from 0 to maybe something like that. We'll have to see. And then what we can do is, actually we'll delete that and we'll do our, which I think the outer radius and the inner radius are mixed up. So we'll have something that looks like this. And then what we can do is we can maximize our fuel strength to 2 so that we have a bunch of fuel that's being emitted. And then from here, what we can do is we can say, okay, well, this doesn't particularly look like a good explosion. So what we can do is we can add a new force type. So we can add a centrifugal force to this. Now you can see that it's kind of like bursting outwards. That might not be particularly what we want. So we can do a directional force to kind of push this upwards. And if this doesn't work out, we'll go back to a sphere. Then we can add in some randomness intensity. And now you can see that it's kind of bursting upwards nicely. One thing we can also do is increase the amount of time that the emitter is going so that we emit more fuel. And then we might need to lower this radius a little bit. So say something, or actually maybe let's increase that, but then lower this radius. So we'll do this. And now we have something that kind of bursts upwards. And then you can see that we've got a couple of issues here. One, there is some banding that we have within this explosion. And then another thing is that we're also hitting the bounds. So what we can do is we can go to the simulation and we can see what this looks like. All right, so same problem. So we'll go to say 384. Let's apply that resolution so that we have more vertical space that we can take up. And then since we're hitting the bounds on the sides over here, what we can do is we can just make this right here expand out to a smaller area. So we have something that looks like that. Now we're no longer hitting the bounds, which is good. And then we can start trying to get some better colors in here. So what we can do is we can increase our smoke extinction temperature. And that's going to make it so that we get more smoke quicker. And so now you can see we have a pretty cool looking fireball. But then we want to maybe increase our smoke gain as well so that it produces more smoke. And so now you can see that the fuel is no longer burning and it's just creating like a quick fireball. And the other thing I'll note is that our new node graph isn't working yet. So we just have these quick little hard-coded nodes. But I can switch to a new view here. And then you'll see that we've got like a little node picker and you can do like color gradients and all kinds of stuff with our little color picker. But from here, hopefully I can switch back. Yes, I can. And so our new node graph will look a lot better. But anyway, from here, I'm going to go ahead and set this up to auto loop. So let's see, maybe there. So we'll do, actually, I'll just restart it through my keyboard so that it doesn't get messed up. All right. And from here, what we can do is we can lower our ignition temp. And then maybe we can decrease our fuel loss a little bit. And then we want maybe our smoke to cool a lot, but our flames to cool less. All right, so now we have something that's kind of going up in the fire resistant a little bit better. And then over here, what we can do, let's go to our visualization. Let's go ahead and what we'll do is we'll play this and we'll pause it. Let's boost this temperature up. Say maybe 11,000, and we'll bring this down a little bit. We can increase our black body intensity. We could also increase our scattering intensity a little bit. And then we have a thing here to kind of get rid of bands. It's called tricubic ray marching. So we can turn that on as well. And now we have some kind of smooth fire. So we got something that looks like that. And then, this right here might be a little bit on the smooth side for us. So what we can do is inside of our simulation, we can change our vorticity. But where is it? Vorticity. Here it is. So we'll crank this up to maybe 0.66 or something like that. So we've got some more vorticity going on. We can also add some vorticity to our temperature and our smoke surface as well. And so now we've got something that's kind of looking like that. I think that it's probably a bit on the bright side, so there's not very many details that we can see. So we can bring this down to maybe 10,000, maybe do something like that. And now we've got something a little bit better. And so now, if we look from our top view, this is kind of what we've got. But we can break this up and add in a little bit more variation. So one of the things is we've got like just a simple little mushroom cloud here, and maybe we want to break this up a little bit. And so if we want to do that, what we could do is we could go to our emitter and we can animate our force type over here. And so we'll say something like this. So we'll go, okay, at this frame, we want to do a centrifugal force. So we'll see what it looks like. So with centrifugal force, it just pushes the explosion outwards. And then we can also increase our buoyancy of both the fuel and the smoke, and so it kind of rises up a little bit, which is all right, but it's still not where we're wanting it, and it's not the buoyancy that we want. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set these buoyancies back to 1, and then from here what we can do is we can change this to directional at this stage. So it'll burst out and then go upwards, and maybe we can do a little bit like that. It's not soon enough, so something like this. Let's go a couple frames more. All right, so now we have something like that, and it's a little bit better. And then we can also kind of tweak our scattering intensity here so that it's not as intense. And then we can also, let's see, so we've got that. This is looking kind of decent. We can also change our gamma a little bit, maybe increase our exposure a little bit, change our color vibrance so that we get some colors that pop a little bit better. And then from here, what we could do is we can also say increase our oxygen amount in the fuel so that it burns a little bit better. So yeah, so now we've got a little bit better burning fireball. And we can also try and see what it looks like if we gain some temp, which that looks a little bit on the bad side. So maybe we'll bring this down to like 0.9. And you can see the EmberGen is just kind of about finessing what you've got and trying to get it look nice. And so from here, we've got something that looks like that. That's not too bad for like a rolling fireball. What we'll do is we can preview this from the flipbook texture itself, and we can say, okay, so this is what it's going to look like inside the flipbook. And you can see that we almost hit the bounds there, but it's not going to matter too much. And you can also see that we're going to have all this wasted texture space, because right this second we don't have a way to crop the flipbooks automatically, but we will in the future. And then what we can do is we can see like our motion vectors and our temperature, flames, albedo, which some of these channels don't work correctly. But like there's our emissive channel, and you can also see that the emissive channel is kind of like crunched because it's going from HDR to LDR, and so we'll have to fix that as well. But we've also got like our alpha map, we've got depth, and I believe if I go over here to visualization and I choose wherever it is, let's see, I'm not sure how, but sometimes or some way there's a way to change your depth. We might not have it hooked up yet, but you can use this as like a depth map. We've also got 6-point lighting. So in case you want to export, your lighting data for really high quality lights on your smoke and stuff, you can do that as well. So we'll go back to our ray tracer, and I think that this right here is probably a decent test as a flipbook. And but I think that we might be able to get a little bit more detail out of this fire. I'm trying to figure it out. So one thing we can do as well, maybe let's increase our smoke tightness. And so we have that. And then I think we might have a little bit too much vorticity on this end of the thing. So okay, it's looking okay. But let me also see what happens if I lower my temperature strength. Okay, so we're gonna get something like that. Then I could increase my, yeah, so see now I'm getting some pretty cool fire looks here. All right, so that's not terrible for what I'm going after. With a little bit more tweaking of our colors here, we could probably get something. So something like that. And then I think that we should also increase maybe our oxygen and our fuel loss rate. So now we have something that kind of burns a little bit quicker, but it's not really explosive as you might want it to be. So one thing we could do as well is increase our force tightness. And so now it's going to be a lot more explosive. But then the issue from here is that, well, one, our thing is hitting the bounds again. So we could increase this again to say 512. And now we've got this, and it kind of blows upwards, but it's just not getting the the fireball shapes that I want. And so I guess the problem with doing this on a live stream is I haven't particularly tested it thoroughly and all that. So what we could do is we could go in and lower our strength and then increase our randomness scale, and that'll give us some better shapes here. And then also maybe I could try to increase the smoke amount. Okay, so that's a little bit better. but it's still kind of funky. So I'm trying to figure this out. Let's see. Let's lower our temperature, lower our maximum temperature again. And you guys can see that the cool thing with EmberGen, besides something like Houdini or whatever, is that you can quickly, go through and iterate your stuff, which I'm actually looking at my screen over on the right to see what it looks like. So I think what I'm going to do is since I've got a good preset, I'm going to load this good preset over here, which you can see that you can get some good fireballs, but I just wonder how I did this. Take some real finesse. Okay, so temp gain, flame gain. I think that might be one thing, is I wasn't gaining my flames. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so we'll ride with this right here. And what we can do is we can go back up and increase our resolution. And so then we shouldn't hit the top of it as easily. And so yeah, so now we can see that we've got do a kickflip. All right, so we've got this, and it's looking pretty good. And the cool thing is now that we've got this flipbook preview tool, we can kind of zoom out to see how it's going to affect it. And I really do wish that we had some cropping tools for this. But all right, so we'll pause it about there, zoom in a little bit. And I think what we'll do is maybe we'll just edit this a little bit, maybe to get a little bit more of a radial burst out of this. So we'll go back to our centrifugal, and maybe we'll just bring this forward just a little bit, see how that changes it. So it's not enough. So we'll do something like that. Actually, we need to move this one. All right. All right, so cool. Now we've got more of a less of a round fireball. And now what we can do is we need to lower our radius just a little bit. So maybe 0.32 or something. And so now we've got this. I think that this is a pretty good fireball for us to start with. We're still hitting the bounds over there. So maybe one thing I could do is let me go to my ray tracer and let me see which direction I should move this emitter in. Probably negative. Nope, so not the y-axis. I want to move it in the x-axis. I wish we had a gizmo that showed me where to go. So we'll do like 0.12. All right, so none of that's hitting. That's still hitting a little bit. So one thing we could also do is change our force strength to be just a little bit less, and then maybe we won't hit the bounds as much. I could also increase the bounds on the edges for this size, but the problem with that is that it won't be as quick for simulating. So I'll also just maybe come down here and do 0.28 or something. That's my scale. And one of the things is our emitters are like percentage based right this second, and that really sucks. And so once we get actual like unit sizes in, I would be able to just scale easily and change the bounds. And so I think that from here we can probably do that. And so I'm moving my force strength. So let's do this, move that back, and then we'll go back to my force type and maybe move this a little bit sooner so that we get more of a burst upwards. All right, I think that's pretty good. So we'll go back to our preview finally, and now we're gonna actually export some stuff. All right, so we've got a little flipbook, and we can zoom in way in to get more detail. And so we'll pause it at like the last frame to kind of see how much more we can fit this. All right, so we'll pause like right there. And so there we go. So now we will get some pretty good stuff out of this. We'll zoom out a little bit. All right, so from here, what I can do, if I want to capture this and we want to import this in Unreal, what I'll do is we'll say, okay, what frame does it start and do we want to pull from? All right, so maybe about there. So say frame 60 roughly. And then you can see that we're only going to cover 53% of our fluids or of our frames here. And so what we can do is we'll just test this to see how much space we have left. I need to uncheck all these little things. All right, so generating our flipbook. And so now we can see that the flipbook is being generated. And okay, so we do need more textual coverage. So we'll just increase this to like 210 or something. And we're not going to see any changes on these first frames because they're already generated. And so now it'll just pick up where it left off. And so, okay, so we're not going to have too much on these last frames. But since this is a cinematic and things like that, I don't really care too much if we have some wasted texture space on this end. So from here, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just clear my flipbooks just so that I can see the stage that it's at. I'm going to export a motion vector, a normal, and I'll also do my emissive. And so from here, I'm going to go ahead and generate flipbook, and it's probably going to chug a little bit. Hopefully my voice doesn't cut out. And so we gotta just wait a second here. This is real time, and the reason why it's taking longer is because we're doing the motion vectors, the emissive, the normal, and the render itself, and so it's doing each frame, and we're just waiting on that. So any moment now it'll be done, and I guess over here into Unreal, I can go ahead and load my textures folder. You can see I've got a bunch of different fireballs and stuff that we could use, but just trying to create something new for the stream here. Okay, so from here, what we've got, we can go ahead and save our flipbooks. Right now, you can't save to a specific name, which sucks quite a bit. Hopefully this doesn't crash. If it crashes, I'm gonna cry. Okay, it didn't. All right, and so now over here, we've got our render. So we've got our render. Oh, that's the wrong way. So our render, our motion vectors, which are kind of funky, but I don't think that matters. And then we've got our emissive channel and our normal map. So from here, what we'll do is we'll just say FXT tunnel explosion 01 render. And so then I'll come over here and do that. And we'll rename this to motion, and then we'll rename this to emissive, and then finally our normal map. And we will have some better naming tools soon. All right, so from here, what we can do is I'm going to just select all these things. And so do Unity next. In terms of Unity, I personally don't know Unity, so I would have to get someone to do it for me. And we'll probably have some Unity tutorials as well. But if you know how to use flipbooks in Unity, you should know how to use our tool and get everything set up. So from here, I'm going to just go ahead and drag this into my content browser. So we'll import all this crap. And so from here, you also said, when is it releasing? When it's done. I don't know. I don't really have a date for you. The major thing is that if we go to our new node graph here, you can see that we've got some stuff set up. You can spawn vector fields and emitters and your simulation node and all that stuff, and then plug different things in. But right this second, it's not done. So because it's not done, we're not releasing it. So yeah, that's about it. But once it's done and we get some better tools in and our color gradient mapping and things like that, we should be releasing the tool. So I don't know, a month, maybe, maybe sooner, maybe later, I don't know. And so then from here, let's see, someone else said, can't wait. Great. And then Andrea said, don't cry. Crashes are natural part of life. Well, hopefully EmberGen won't crash very much, damn it. It's a lot more stable than other tools that I've experienced, so that's good. It's pretty hard to crash it. Maybe if you go to like, for some reason, if you go to a resolution of 32, it does like to crash. All right, so we've got our stuff going on here. And then anything else? All right, I already answered when it's releasing, so a month, maybe more, maybe less. All right, so from here, I've got a material. It's called my flipbook master. We can see that I've got a bunch of different stuff in here. And what we can do is we can choose, use motion vectors or do, an alpha channel or different temperature or whatever. So emissive and all kinds of stuff. So what I'll do is I will clone this. So we'll say FXM tunnel explosion 01. And so from here, we can go ahead and select this. And we want to go ahead and say use emissive. And so we're going to go ahead and select our so tunnel emissive. And then we'll go to our albedo and we'll say, let's see, tunnel render. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and use motion vectors as well. And so we'll say tunnel motion. And then our last one is our normal maps over here. And we'll say, where's it at? So tunnel normal. And Andreas here, he really hates normals on explosions, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then we see that we have an error over here. So it needs to be linear color. So let's go to our motion vectors and we'll say BC7 is our compression format. And technically, I mean, what we could do is we could make this texture size smaller. So we'll do, say, 1024 as our maximum texture size to give us some smaller details and things like that to blur it up a little bit. And then I need to turn off sRGB. Yes, we will be releasing master materials for both Unity and Unreal. That way you can just quickly come in and use the files as they export from Unreal. We'll even do 2D gray marching and all kinds of crazy shit. So you should be able to get full access or full usage out of the software from like day one. Hopefully we can release all that stuff in time. I don't know if we'll have it by the time we do like our pre-order build and like quick test build or whatever. But for our actual production ready beta build that we're going to do sometime this year, whenever that happens, we'll definitely have the stuff released. All right, so from here, I've got this all set up. It's still giving me an error, but I don't think this matters in this case. Let me just check one of my other normals here. Okay, so I turned off sRGB on the other one, so I'll turn it off on here too. I think that's where I got better results. All right, so from here, what we can do is we're gonna go ahead and I could duplicate this explosion, but I'll just create it from scratch. So we'll go to my particles over here and we'll say particle system FX tunnel explosion 01. I know you guys love my crappy naming conventions, huh? So from here, we'll do tunnel. So tunnel explosion. And what we can do is we'll say, which this is interesting. Do I normally need to do this? I don't think so. We'll see. So BV index 63. Because I think one of the things is normally if I have motion vectors done, I think, and so let me load this one and just see what I'm doing here. See, I'm not using a sub UV index and I'm not using that. Okay. So something might be going wrong here. So linear blend, tunnel. Yeah, I gotta problem of doing this on stream is I gotta debug something here. Flipbook master. So it should just work. Should is like the worst thing that you could possibly say though. Don't should on people, you know? What the hell? Let's go here and let's see this mid-air explosion. We can see that I'm not seeing anything. Use normal map, normal intensity, frame count 62. If I go over here to my tunnel explosion, I'm not, okay, so frame count. Yeah, everything that could go wrong does go wrong. This is real interesting, folks. Let me just see here. So we got my big explosion. I've got my material over here. We're saying use a normal map. The difference but between these two is, let me just uncheck those things. Oh, that's weird. Okay. That's weird. How come that's not exposed here? Our normal intensity, -500. Sorry, my dog is walking around or whatever in the background. Okay. So whatever I did, I just changed this normal intensity, and I guess it resaved the shader, and now it's working. All right, whatever. So hang on one second. Let me move my dog or let her out or whatever. 1 second. Okay. All right, so from here, we've got this. What the hell? I come back, and now it is back to this bull crap. It was working. This is stupid. All right. I literally have no clue what's going on with my thing. And I don't think I can use motion vectors this way. So if I go to 0, turn off my velocity, we'll just test this thing real quick. Yeah, crank normals. I found out that like -500 looks best. So from here, what I can do is go 0, expand all, just do 1. All right, and let's just do 1 loop. And that way we can kind of test this. So from here, what is going wrong? We're not lerping between our stuff. It's like, it's so stupid because I've tested this thing over and over and over, and it's not working. Which, let me see, am I FXM Flipbook Master? Use motion vectors. You know what? To cheat? Yeah. So to cheat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to create a new material instance, tunnel 01A or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Rename this tunnel explosion. All right, so I'm just going to duplicate it, and we're going to cheat. And we're going to go tunnel explosions 01A, and we're going to say that we want to tunnel, and so this is our render, and then we're going to go to temperature, tunnel, emissive, and then we're going to do our motion vector, tunnel, and what is it? What is this? Motion vector? Okay, and then we're going to select use normal map from here, and then we'll go ahead and say tunnel normal. All right, and so now we've got the look that we want. I really don't know why this other flipbook isn't working, but I am not going to try and figure it out and waste all of your time. So from here, now we've got this. If I go here and I select tunnel explosions, and then I go to required, just do 1. All right, and turn off my sub UV index. Awesome, look at that. now we've got our flipbook actually doing motion vectors properly. And so now if we do say 5 or something like that, now we've got something that's quite smooth. One thing that does suck about this particular flipbook, if I go here and I go, here. We don't have very much like illumination on the smoke. So the cool thing about EmberGen is if you don't like the way something came out, you can quickly change it. And so since our flipbook is deterministic, all we have to do is we don't have to capture every channel again. We can just capture our render. We're going to go to our preview. We're going to restart this. And let's see here. So we've got this. It's looking like that. That's nice and dandy. But we want some more scattering in this. So maybe we'll give us something like that. And now we should have some pretty nice stuff. And then since we exported a separate emissive channel, it might look pretty good. I don't know. We'll test it. So from here, we can go to capture, and we'll just generate our flipbook again. And we're going to see that it's going to change up a little bit. And it's just changing the scattering amount. And it's almost done. There we go. Save our flipbooks. All right. And so now we're going to save that. Let's just click it again just to make sure it saves. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say rename, copy all, delete, rename, paste it. All right, and now if I go into Unreal and I re-import this, there we go. So it changed. And now if I go over to here, yeah, so we can see that it kind of did what I wanted it to. We've got a little bit more detail. One thing that should actually happen, to be fair and to be honest, is that it should export the emissive scattering on the emissive channel, but it doesn't right this second. So that's why I kind of had to cheat. And we get a little bit better result going on from here, but this is okay. So now what we can do is we can look at this inside of our tunnel over here. And so what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and spawn, I don't know, 10 or something like that. And we'll create a new location, initial location. Yes, you can indeed make stylized flipbooks. So if I go over here, go to my ray tracer, what we could do is we could say, okay, let's lower this scattering, and then we could choose, you know, cartoon. And so you can get cartoon flipbooks, and ignore the checker background or whatever. And then like in a flipbook view, we can see that this right here is what it's going to look like in the flipbook. So something like this. And then one thing we could do is we could pause it so we can see it in the flipbook view. And then we could go over here and we can change our style parameters to give us, you know, less bits or whatever in the color. Or we can change this to sharpen it up a little bit. Or we could even change it to say Kurohara. And so this looks more like paint. And we could, you know, decrease this or whatever and just kind of see what it looks like. So yeah, so you can do different styles and stuff like that. Right now we just have cartoon and Kurohara as our shading methods. Which one thing that does suck is I'm looking at the stream over there and it's like running at a really low FPS. It's probably because EmberGen just sucks up your GPU or whatever. So from here, what we can do is we'll take our initial location. We'll just say 200 by 200. We'll do negative 200 as well. That way we get a lot of little spawns or whatever. And then we want to say, let's go to size, size by life. We'll do say 5, maybe 15. And then we'll do 30. So we'll go to 30 or something like that. And so now over here, we've got something that looks like this. Nice. We've got a tunnel filled with bullshit. All right. And you can see that we are wasting a lot of texture space. A lot of texture space. But whatever. It's for cinematic. I don't care. And EmberGen will have tools to crop this kind of stuff in the future. So now, like you can see that you can get a badass flipbook within like 10 minutes or less within EmberGen. And since we're going to have presets, the flames and stuff are a lot easier to control. Right now our combustion system is really hard to manage. But what we can do is now we can say, let's forget spawning that, and maybe we'll just do one, and we'll just have it constantly looped for now. And then what we could do is we could just do the general cheat method to get this to come down the tunnel by just moving the emitter. And of course, this is way too many particles. I'm sure someone in a production setting would go, what the hell? And cringe. Let's see what our overdraw looks like. Shader complexity. Oh, gotta build my shader complexity shaders. How about that? Let's see. Come on. Holy God. All right, yeah, that's too much. So what we could do is we'll go over here to our thing, because this does matter. And we'll say maybe 5 or something like that. And we could also decrease our location. And I'll probably just do a sphere, to be honest, as our location. So we'll go to sphere, something like that, and we get a little bit of variation. And then we can also add in some initial rotation. And then to get in just an extra amount of differences, we can do a random flip UV. And so then it's going to just be completely different. Now we can see that we've got a cool little fireball. But from here, we probably want to make it so that it doesn't start so big. So what we can do is we can add a thing here. We'll say a 0.2, maybe go up to 15. And then we can add in, oh, I don't want to add in another array, so let me delete this one. And from here we can go 1 back to 30. All right, so now we've got it so that it kind of looks more like an ignition or something like that. And now they're not popping into frame. So now we've got something that's nice and smooth. And from here, what we can do is let's go ahead into our sequence. Let me just save all this stuff, because running EmberGen and all this stuff in the background, who knows how unstable it is, because my graphics card is maxed out right this second. And what I'll do is, okay, so this is pause, so that's good. And then let me turn off like VSync or something so that it's not going as bad. All right. So from here, what we can do now is we'll go, which is still not the best or whatever, but whatever. So the gist is that we've got this heat wave here. It's gas. It's going to explode. And so we need to ignite it and then make it explode or whatever. And so, all right. So what we'll do is we're going to go over here to our sequencer. Let's go ahead and maximize this thing. And so now what we'll do is we will add a sequencer, tunnel explosion. Let's add a, I believe, what is it? Trigger? No, it's not trigger. Let me delete that. It's like particle toggle track. And so somewhere, let's just say like right here or something, we'll activate this particle. And so now if I drag this over here so that you guys can still see it, it sucks that I can't work on like 2 monitors on a stream. I can, but I want you guys to see everything. And then let me go over here and we'll say auto activate, turn that off. Now, if I go over here to my sequencer, we can see that, boom, it activates, and then our little debris over here fall down sometime later. So the explosion's gonna bust through there, bust through here, and then boom, blow out some rocks or something like that, and we'll make some flip books for that kind of stuff too. Then you can see we've got like this big silo, and so I want kind of like a huge fireball coming out of here. So we're gonna have a couple of different flip books, and it should be pretty cool. All right, so now that we've kind of got our workflow set up and we're making sure that our flip books actually work, which I'm still bewildered as to why the master material didn't work the way it was supposed to, but this right here looks pretty good. We could fake it with like some cinematic depth or something like that, but I don't think that the depth would reach all the way through here, so I'm not really going to worry about it. And then we've got like our so we don't have any hard edges. So I mean, this looks pretty good for a fireball kind of coming towards you. The colors are a bit on the saturated, ugly side, and the reason for that is if we go over here to our emissive, once again, you can see that the channel is fucked up. is the nicest way to say it. That's because it's getting compressed so hard from HDR to LDR, and so we have to change our gamma space settings or something like that. But you know, from here, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get this to move, and then maybe tweak up the effect a little bit. And so one thing I also want to do first is I'm going to add in a cinematic camera. So since this is a cinematic, so I don't know if you guys saw my big building explosion or whatever, but that was, you know, a little cinematic that I was going to do. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create some marketing material for EmberGen. And I was like, shit, I might as well just show me doing it, and so people can see the software and see the workflow. So from here, what I'll do is let's add in a cinematic camera. And so we've got this, and it's pointing the wrong direction. So I'll do 90. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to turn that off for now. And so then I'm going to go to my camera, which one thing I don't know as well is why whenever I hit G, everything just goes super dark. I have no clue why that happens. I wish I knew why it did that. And so maybe we'll start it out like this, and we'll do this. So let's go here, back to my bunker explosion. Oh, let's see, our sequence. And let's go ahead and extend this thing quite a bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and add in my cinema camera actor. All right, so just a huge fireball. That's fine. And you know, I wish I knew how to get this stupid thing to turn off without clicking this over and over, but whatever. So we've got this, and now what we need to do is select our camera, and what we'll do is, shit, clicking the wrong thing. So many little tabs down here, holy crap. Let me close that window. Oh, it's still there. Whatever. Let me close this window. I'll close this window, and I can't close OBS because that's what's streaming. All right, so from here, we've got our camera actor, and we want to just go ahead and add our transform here. And I'm probably going to do some of this stuff on the other screen, but I'll be moving the camera here. So we've got that. Maybe we'll move it out somewhere like that. And so actually, I'll move my little slider over, and then we can bring this back a little bit. Which, see, I wish it was this bright. I don't know why it's doing this. All right, so we've got that, and so we're just going to move it kind of like that, and so we'll transform it, and now we can see that my camera animates kind of like that. So we'll kind of come from there, show that it's doing its thing, and then maybe we'll also add in some rotation to it, so something like this, and we'll go from there. And so now we've got the camera kind of rotating around, showing the full plume of this thing, which actually this is a flipbook that I generated with EmberGen 2. Of course, it's probably not even needed because, I mean, you could just use a static texture for this, but I wanted a little bit more motion and just to say, hey, EmberGen did this. So yeah. And if, God damn it, if anyone knows how I can get this to not change so much, bound scale, like literally, I don't know why, if I scale this this post-process setting, why it keeps going back. I don't know. Is there like, does anyone know if there's like a setting to keep the size or something like that? Because every time I exit it, it just stops. I might just have to check infinite bounds and then turn it off is what I might have to do. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So anyway, so we've got our heat wave going on, and we could also like distort the scene or something to change the colors, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. So from here, we've got our heat waves going through so that we can see that the tunnels are filled with gas, so to speak. And then what we can do is disable it in sequencer at the start. Not sure what that'll do. I want it to be in sequencer, but I just don't know why my scale is changing. So if I click off on something else, then I go back to this. Okay, it hadn't changed. Well, we'll just try this again for the umpteenth time. Let's just go out to here. So we'll say that it's filling up this whole little tunnel. And then, all right, so we've got nice waviness. And so now back to our sequencer. And you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to unbound it just for safety here, because I can just turn it off whenever I don't need it anymore. All right, and so my lighting fucked up for a second. All right, now from here, what I can do, I keep saying from here all the time, I'm sorry. All right, now let's go back to my sequencer, pull this up, and so now let's go ahead and hit this. And does anyone know why my lighting gets so dark whenever I unhit G? Post-processing. Okay, yeah, it must be eye adaptation. All right, so I turned off eye adaptation and that fixed it. All right, so now what we can do is we can just bring this back. Actually, I can't do that yet. I need to go into my sequencer, set the new frame position. So something like this. So we'll start the fire and we're going to move back all the way through. And so we'll kind of center up on the tunnel. Something like this. That looks center to me. And then we're going to come through and watch the tunnel explode, and we'll even go through the doorway. All right, and so something like that. All right, and so now we've got that. We're pulling it back. And this is probably going to be way too fast, but whatever. So we've got this. We're looking at it. We're coming through. We're expanding. All right, and now we need the, so we're going to do this somewhere around here. And then we will, let's see, what should I do? I need to change the position of this particle system. So over here, we'll just go ahead and set our transform. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize all these little tracks or whatever. I don't need all of those showing up. All right, so from here, we're going to change that. And then up to here, what we'll do is we can, let's see if I select that, drag this down the tunnel. We might need to spawn more particles to get this through, but so we should bust through the door kind of like this. And then we'll see what it looks like. Oh shit, whoops, I did the wrong thing. All right, oops, I'm messing up big time. I hate how sequencer sends your stuff back. Hey Joan, how's it going? All right, so from here, we can go ahead and, I'm looking at OBS for some reason. All right, there we go. And so now we'll send that. And now, I'm pretty sure I can do something called, I know what I can do for this stupid particle system. Which, one issue that we have now is that because we changed our emissive scattering, the smoke is so bright. But then again, I guess there's so much fire, I guess it kind of makes sense. And I think, yeah, I think that's right. All right, so from here, and it also might be from this light right here that's causing that. All right, so now that we've got this ugly little fireball sticking out the doorway, what I need to do is go back to my sequencer. I'm going to turn off this particle at the beginning. So let's go here. We'll move this down, and we'll click here. and we'll say deactivate. So there we go, and that way I can turn it off whenever I need to. And then we are going to go to the camera. We're going to choose pilot, and then we're going to go to our sequencer. I'm going to throw that on my other screen, and we're going to hit play. So boom, we've got that. It ignites, and it's blowing through the doorway or something. This is kind of hideous, to be fair. All right, and so let's see that again. So we got the gas, the thing. Why is it delaying so much? All right, let me just wait a second here. Let's try again. All right, so boom, ignition. I think it ignites too slow, and then it goes way too fast. So we can slow down this this sequence quite a bit. So we'll go over here, and let's just kind of drag all this stuff over here. Let me see if it moves. Okay, so yeah, so all my other stuff does move like I would expect it to. So we'll go here. All right, and so now I just want to select these. And so let's lengthen our sequence. Something like that. And now we can go back to the start and see what it looks like. Okay, boom, 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 boom. All right, so it is a bit slower. That's kind of cool. One thing that I've noticed is that I think that at the very beginning, well, I don't know. I guess it kind of looks cool. I might just need to change my post-process because you've got some really sharp lines on the post-process. So whenever we are, so I'm moving my little camera over here. So whenever we get to this point, so we're here. I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream, but it's kind of, the post-processing is affecting the, whatever you call it. All right, so it's kind of being, it's not too bad. I think it'll look good. I think the post-process adds some flair to it. All right, so we'll have it burst out of this door. And you can see that there's still like gas in this room over here or whatever. Maybe it's just like dispersing over here, so we'll turn it off. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a second camera. So once we get out of the doorway over here, we're going to have a second camera that is from like this point of view or whatever. And so we'll do this. And now let's go ahead and do Cine Camera Actor. Let's add in a new one. And how do I change my pilot? Okay, so I can exit the pilot there. Let me just go ahead and disable this flipbook thing. I don't want to pilot you. All right, so now over here, I added a second Cine camera. Wherever it is, where is it? I don't know. I'll delete it and then just drag one over here. And so then what we could do is we'll just cut cameras just to make it simple. And so we've got the explosion happening. And or maybe what we'll do is we'll show it coming through here, and so kind of like blowing through this particular area. I don't know. So we don't need to go that far away. So we'll come over here, something like this. And what I'll do is I'll move it back, and then we're going to come over here, because if we go farther, we can see that we've got some things that like fall down or whatever from some bigger explosions that happen or whatever, which I don't know if I don't know if a gasoline explosion would make hardened concrete or whatever like this fall down, but it's a game, it's a cinematic. We'll do it, and it crushes this little pylon. So we need to make sure that we capture this, and so what we'll do is we'll have like some fire kind of like coming out of the cracks here, but then we're going to do some cool flipbook sims for some cool motion and stuff like this falling down, and we'll do that in just a moment here. Let let me see here. All right. So yeah. So from here, let me look back. Roland Emmerich would be proud. I'm not sure who that is. I'm gonna look it up. Oh, film director. Independence Day 2012. Godzilla. Gotcha. All right, learn something new every day. All right, so from here, about at this point, we probably want to, so we'll see, not showing you my little thing over here. So about right here is where we're going to cut the camera, because at this point the fireball is kind of reaching through the door. And so we'll add in a new camera. So we'll add this. So then we're switching cameras. And then from here, we'll go ahead and add a track. We'll say transform. Sad faces, happy faces, weird faces. Yeah, I'm not too much of a movie guy. I don't know much. The only director I can really name is, like, what is it, Peter Jackson? Quentin Tarantino. He's my favorite director. I love his movies. So from here, we've got our transform. We've added that. And so let's just go ahead and select this camera. We can see that we've got some stuff kind of blowing out over there. And what we could do is do that. And then we will, so over here, so hard to work on one screen so that you can all see stuff, which I'm going to move that over and then do that. That'll give me some more space. There we go. Screen optimization. Spielberg, yeah. All right. So from here, we've got that. We're going to set that up. And then we're going to go maybe to over here. And we might need to move all these little frames. So this whole little section right here, all these little pylons and stuff, moving and whatnot, we'll just move that somewhere out to here, and we'll time it later. So from here, we've got our camera transform. We're going to go up to about here, and I'm going to move this camera. Oh, wrong direction. I'm going to move this camera this way. We're going to pan it so that it rotates kind of like that. And we're going to pull it backwards so that we can get some more stuff, maybe like so. And kind of deciding here, because I mean, it would be cool to see like a giant rolling fireball come out of this, but then again, you know, you've got we've also got the destruction. Then we can show that you've got some cool stuff. So maybe what we could do is we could have a cool fireball burst out of this doorway, and then what we'll do is we'll have a big rolling dust cloud and a bunch of dust and stuff, maybe some embers and stuff, I don't know, we'll see, coming out of this little doorway. I think it'd be pretty cool to get that right, so we'll see. So from here, we've got this. Let's go ahead and add our transform. And so we got the camera that moves, and we can see on the bottom of the screen here, we've got some destruction, and we probably want to view this kind of like this, maybe pull this back even more so that we're seeing a little bit more. We'll go ahead and add our transform. And so now we're moving through, and we can see that it's falling, and we've got all the stuff coming down. All right, so now from here, we just go ahead and save everything. And so I think what we'll do now is we'll make a big explosion that kind of comes out of this door. But what we can do before we do that is just kind of make sure that our sequence looks all right. And so we'll view it full screen. And what we'll do is, let's see, bunker sequence, autoplay, don't loop. And so if I go to this, which let me delete these sound cues. And then audio, delete these things too, because I don't want those showing up on the stream. All right, so if I play again, oh, it's not, well, this is actually playing, but the sequence is not taking over my movement. Why would that be? And what is going on here? Oh, some GL bugs on EmberGen. Okay. So autoplay. I've got a level sequence. Maybe I need to actually play in the viewport. Okay. So here we go. Boom. It expands way too slow. We've got the fireball moving down the tunnel. It's kind of hideous. And then we've got some stuff going. Really, really ugly. So, but what we'll do is maybe we can spice up this particle here. So I'll go into my thing over here. We'll go to our tunnel explosion, and we're going to do size by life. We're going to change this to like 0.05 so that it's kind of going like that. And maybe I can change this vertical fit. I don't need any of that. I think I just need this channel. Let's go ahead and curve auto this. We'll curve auto that. And then maybe do something like that. It's not the best tangent that I've ever seen. But so that's not too bad. Maybe we'll make it burst up to something higher here. So let's restart the sim. Okay. So yeah, so it grows much faster. So we've got that. I'm not really sure if there's much else. One thing that we could do, I wonder, is we take this explosion, and what if we had it ignite as if it's igniting fuel, right? Because right now it's kind of round and whatnot. So I'm just gonna experiment with this. Maybe we could get a better flipbook out of this. So, all right, so we see this. It's not too terrible. It's not bad. But maybe what we want is we'll go over here and we'll choose temperature strength. Oh, not force inherited. So temperature strength. And so I'll just go to like here. And we'll let this explode outwards. And so we'll say our temperature strength. Oh, nope, not that. So we'll say that our temperature strength, where is it at? Okay. And we need to work on this timeline a little bit to get it to be better. But we'll say our temperature strength is going to be 0. And then somewhere over here, we'll go back up to like, what was it, like 0.19 or something. And so now you can see that it is an ignition. And so now that we've got some nice ignition going on, I think that the flipbook will look a lot better because it's going to look like gas is actually igniting in the tunnel. And and once again, the great thing about EmberGen is that you can quickly go through and change this kind of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, this is EmberGen. All right, so cool. And let's just pause this right at ignition. We've got some pretty cool motion. I kind of like that. We could delay this a little bit more. So maybe even out to here. And so maybe even a little bit more. But we don't want to go too far because then the gases, then the gases won't even ignite because the emitter is not available anymore. All right, so we've got that. That is not too shabby. We'll go to our visualization, and I'm going to turn down the scattering intensity. Cool beans. And let's turn on tricubic ray marching so that we get some smoother stuff. And then, which we're not quite getting the cool stuff that we were getting before. So maybe we can increase the oxygen in our fuel. Nope, that's not the right way to do it. Maybe lower the oxygen in our fuel. Too little oxygen. Combustion is, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, look at that. it's got like a flame and then it busts upwards. So we can see here, we've got our fuel, there we go. And I think that's actually the combustion layer that we're seeing. Then it kind of fades out. So we've got like a debug view. All right, so we got something like that. I think that's pretty cool. And from here, what we can do is let's pause it and let's try and get this shader to look a little bit better, like right about here. So what we can do, we can increase that. We could also decrease that a little bit. And so by increasing the reference temperature, you can have more stuff hot and get some cooler shapes, what you normally could do. We'll leave our black body at the same that it was. Maybe we'll just increase our scattering radius in general, but keep the intensity low. So I'll see what this is going to look like. All right, so we've got the ignition. It's going to burst like that. I think that's pretty cool. I think we could do with a little bit less fuel loss. That way it burns just a little bit longer. So we've got that. All right, so now we've got a bigger fireball. It's a lot nicer, I think. So graphics card, I'm doing a GTX 1080, and sadly the stream, I mean, it's not the speed that I want the stream to be, so that kind of sucks. But I'm on a GTX 1080. We make it so that the software can run on a GTX 1060. So the lowest card that we test on is a GTX 1060M in a laptop, and it can run the software at a usable rate. But I would highly, highly recommend that you have a better graphics card than a 1060. And if you can get better than a 1080, so like a RTX 2080 or something like that, it just completely destroys the software. So yeah, definitely destroys the software in a good way. You can do much higher quality simulations and stuff. All right, so we've got this. So now let's go back to our flipbook preview. It's going to chug a bit. All right, cool. So let's pause that, let's zoom in, get our maximum usage out of this, and we can see that we need to zoom out just a little bit. And so we'll see what our motion vector here is going to look like. All right, that's not bad. So from here, what we can do, go back to our final render, and I think I like this. Our colors are a little bit odd, but that's fine with me. I think that with the emissive channel, it's going to look fine. So from here, just go back to capture. We're going to start. Let's see what frame 60 looks like. Let's go back to my ray tracer. So it's actually, we can see now that we need to adjust our flipbook start range. So it looks like about frame 80 is where we want to start now. We can see that it can't fit 66 frames, so we still have 100% textile coverage. And let's just go ahead and generate a quick test to see how this is going to look. See how much flipbook we're going to fill up. See if we need to skip extra frames or whatever. All right, so we're going through. So we're still not using the bottom half of our frames. I think that's okay. And I think that we could probably zoom in just a little bit more to get more space out of our flipbook. So let's go here. And we can see this is what it's looking like. All right, I think that's pretty nice. Yeah, I don't care about this edge. I think this is so low alpha in engine, you won't even be able to tell. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and export my motion vector as well. We'll do our emissive channel and normals as previously. And now we just go to our ray tracer, actually our flipbook, and let me save this. I'm going to save this tunnel explosion 01. All right, cool. It's saved, didn't crash. That's great. And now let's just go ahead and generate our flipbook. All right, speeding through, and now we're gonna chug for a moment here. Yep, it's it's chugging through. All right, it's almost done. There we go. Let's save our flipbooks now. And from here, please don't crash. All right, cool, no crash. Awesome. So we'll go back to our ray tracer and we can go ahead and pause it there. All right, so now what we can do is we'll go over here and I am just going to rename, copy all that. I really wish that we could set up names for this stuff, but gotta do what we gotta do right this second, you know. All right, so then we got our motion vector. So we'll say motion, and then we go here and we say emissive, and then we go here and we say normal. All right, and now if we go back into Unreal and we find our stuff, here's our tunnel, and we go ahead and re-import it, hopefully it looks more like it's igniting something. It looks terrible. It looks like ass. All right, well, let's see what it's looking like over here. Let's go ahead and save all. We'll save our level and stuff. I am kind of disappointed with the way that this flipbook turned out. Maybe I've got too much temperature or something. What's our emissive look like? Yeah, too much burning, I think. It's too bright. So what we can do is we'll go back into EmberGen and we'll just, this time we don't need to export anything else, so it'll be pretty quick. What we can do is let's go ahead to our frames here and we'll view it and we'll start about here and go back to our visualization. We can change our reference temperature to be brighter and we can maybe decrease this a little bit so that it's like that. And then maybe lower our exposure, increase our color vibrance maybe. But one thing is that there's the fire is like, it looks good right there, but it looks really bad at the beginning. So I'm thinking that we just need to kind of like go straight from one to the other. I think it might be because the temperature isn't strong enough. So we're going to move this temperature strength to go from something low to pretty high at the beginning. Oh, that's not close enough. All right, so let's go back here. Let's move that. We'll restart it again. Try again. Still no ignition? What? It's ridiculous. That looks a little bit better. Just a little bit. Maybe we'll increase our temperature strength in general. Let's go back to our ray tracer. Yeah, so we need, which this is where a color gradient would come in, because then we could get some finer details in this crap. But yeah, so we could boost that like that. But I want, so what I can do actually is let's lower the oxygen in the fuel again. We'll see what this looks like. All right, so we're kind of getting there. Maybe let's increase our smoke density a little bit better. I mean, maybe we need to change our smoke dissipation to be a little bit lower. We'll see what this does. That's a little more what I'm looking for, but I think that there's too much smoke now. That could be good. Let's see what this is looking like. Okay, yeah, so we've got some more detail in there. I think that this might be better. We've got some unburnt fuel there, so we'll bring this up just a little bit. Let's see what this is looking like. All right, I think that this would be a much better flip book. And so, and since I just changed my stuff again, yeah, I do need to export these other two things. So be patient. we're going to generate some new flipbooks here. All right, yeah, so we've got some cooler yellow, orange colors going on here instead of something so saturated, which is nice, but we're also not using up the texture space as much, but that's all right. Which from this, we might need to maybe increase our scattering again. And this typically goes faster than than what's on the screen. That's just bogged down by the stream and Unreal and everything. All right, so now let's go ahead and save this again and do the process of renaming it and re-importing it. I can't wait till we actually get named stuff in this so that we can name our things. All right, so let's rename it. Let's delete these, rename. This is motion, rename, emissive, and then we've got over here, we've got our normal map. All right, and now if I go into Unreal, I should be able to just re-import it. But still, this is leagues faster than anything else out there, which is good. All right, so this is, it's just not looking like I wished it looked. Am I changing the color over life? I need to not do that. All right, now we've got some better stuff. I think that this could be pretty good. Okay, so from here, what we'll do is let's just preview our thing again. See what it looks like. Oh, that is terrible. Looks like butt. It's pretty bad. What can I do to fix this? Sad Jenga is sad. Because we're losing a whole bunch of detail here. And the best way to get detail is to have more smoke spawn, sadly. And I think that we need to increase that. Yeah, it's just not looking like I wanted it to look. Maybe we can just go back to our rolling gasoline and work from this, because this is the this is the fireball that we want, and it's really powerful and nice. Which I need to go back and change my simulation size so that it doesn't hit the roof. And so from here, which, yeah, that's really nice colors. All right, so I think from here, what we'll do is maybe I'll just try to ignite this like I was doing the other one without changing too much. We can kind of keep this round shape. And then, so from here, and I bet that once we have like our node graph and all that stuff, this stuff is going to be so much easier to make. It's hard whenever you're limited to just these little things, and like we could have definitely solved the other issue with actual color gradients. So it does suck a little bit, but it is what it is. All right, so from here we'll go to our thing. We'll go ahead and create our temperature strength setting, and we'll go here, maybe do this. We'll say from here it's going to be 0, and then over here we're going to do the 0.13 or whatever it was. Just not enough, huh? There we go. Which, you know, that is so interesting that if you change the way that the temperature ignites things. So if there's like a big delay and it ignites like that, instead of being thrown out from the very beginning, that it ignites so evenly without looking good at the beginning. It's very odd. It's very odd. Because if I set this little setting right here to 0.12, it should, yeah, see, it looks perfectly fine. So right this second, without color gradients, I don't think that we're going to get the effect that I was looking for. All right, well, it is what it is. We'll just use this one instead. All right, so let's go ahead and maximize this flipbook preview. That is an interesting thing that I've learned, that that you won't get fireballs that look as good if you ignite later. I think that's where the color graph would come in. All right, so back to this. Let's go ahead and where does this start at? Which, since I'm doing this, I can just go ahead and remove the temperature strength from my thing. All right, so we've got that. That's pretty nice. And where is it starting? Probably right about there. So probably want to do, I don't know, frame 50 or something like that. 55 on our capture node. 55. Just go ahead and generate the render for now. All right. There we go. That's not too shabby. And hey, and this time we've actually used up the entirety of the flipbook in this case too. So that's interesting to note as well. All right. So from here, I really do wish that we could maximize this texture space, but we're rendering it out as a 4K texture, so it's pretty detailed as is, I think. And so from here, what we can do, let's just go ahead and do our big thing that we do. Let's generate this flipbook. All right. So here we go. It's doing its thing. And in the meantime, which actually it's making it just a little bit smaller, but whatever, that's all right. So in the meantime, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and load this in, and then maybe we want to build out the bigger explosion for our doorway or something like that. I'm thinking about using a different particle type or something like that. So what we can do, so let's go here to our sequence. Because one thing is, we have the sequence, it has the particle coming out the doorway. I don't want the particle coming out the doorway. We want to use a different flipbook to get a cooler look over here. So that's what we'll do. So from here, just real quick, let's select this. We'll go into our sequencer, and we'll maximize this. We've got our tunnel explosion, and there's our last frame here. Looks like, oh, wrong thing. There we go. And so just in the chat, there's 16 of you. I'm wondering who all's still there. What do you think of EmberGen? Do you think it's fast? Is the stream clear? What are your thoughts on it for iterations and all that kind of stuff? Curious to hear your thoughts. Here we go. This is the right thing I need to select. So we'll move that back to like over here or something. Let's just transform that there, and then that way, say from here at this point, say right here, we will set this to deactivate. That way it deactivates, and then we can get some cool particles coming out the doorway. So from here, we've got that. We got the camera moving, it's doing its thing. That's good. All right, so now with that, we got the gas still on the screen. We've got our stuff. Also, so since there's like John Emerson, Jonathan, is it Cron? Since you guys are watching, are you learning anything? Is there anything to learn from this? Hopefully. All right. So within about an hour and a half, this is what I've got: distortion waves, some gas coming out of a pipe, a hallway explosion. All right. So from here, we've got that. We're going to keep it at this frame. It blows up and then it turns off. And then from here, let's go ahead and rename our textures that we had. And so just got our render, and then got our motion. Once again, the crappy part of having to rename everything. What was this? Our emissive, and then we've got our normal. And we can just re-import all this stuff. All right, so back to this. We'll re-import it. Let's go to our browser, our textures. We'll go over here and we'll re-import these little assets. Oh, nope. Re-import. Why is it doing that to me? All right, looks like it re-imported finally. All right, so from here, this should look a lot better. Which actually, this is still not the correct one. Let's re-import this. All right, fine. EmberGen FXT tunnel explosion 01 up. I see what the problem is. PNG.png. Now re-import. All right, fine. Still not gonna work. Explosion render. There we go. And you know, like I said, we we really should have tools to maximize the texture space, because we're not going to get as much detail out of this, sadly. And then once we have like animated cameras and stuff in EmberGen, we can have some better stuff. So from here, let's see what the tunnel explosion looks like now. All right, that is much cooler indeed. The only thing I haven't seen, which is not present, is a loop option frame blend between specific frames. I can't wait. Right this second, we do not have looping for simulations, but we'll have looping sometime in the future, probably for our first release, but not like our first release, meaning our production ready release, but in terms of looping simulations. Once we release like our pre-beta, pre-alpha, whatever you want to call it, I don't think we'll have it in there. Not in time, at least. But we will have looping simulations in the future. All right, so this is a much cooler fireball, in my opinion. The UI is developed more as far as learning. Definitely the ease of use of the tool. Learning it's deterministic is great for minor alterations, and actually learn some about sequencer. Cool. All right. So from here, now what we want to do is we want to have a cool burst coming into this room over here. So I'm going to kind of go through here, and what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and just save this preset, and we'll resave our tonal explosion. That way we can save this. I'm going to open a new preset. I'm going to open up my plane explosion midair fireball thing. And what we'll do is we are going to make it so that with this, let's go ahead and set our loop. And we'll do, say, 150 or something. Let's change our emitter to be velocity cone. So you guys may recognize this explosion from the previous Unreal thing that I did and that we showed like a building exploding. So we'll take this and we're going to kind of make this a little bit faster. We're not going to have the little streamers go down. So what we can do is, what am I changing? I'm changing my cone direction. So I'm going to change this back to that. We'll just have it shoot straight out. That way they don't go out. And then what we'll do is we'll have more particles as well. So we'll do something that looks kind of like that. And then we can also lower our position a little bit. So we've got something looking like that. I think that's pretty good. All right, it's dissolving well. And so from here, let's just test it again. All right, we've got some cool little tendrils coming out. So now let's go ahead and preview this. All right, so we got that. This is how it's looking on the flipbook. I think that is probably the maximum amount of texture space that we're going to get out of this particular explosion. So what we'll do is, and you'll also notice that it's like really light right here, and that's because there's not much alpha. Hopefully with a color gradient you would be able to tweak this alpha and stuff once it's out. So from here, let's go to our capture again, and we just want to do, I guess, like frame 4 or something, and we'll go ahead and just do our render. So we'll generate our flipbook. So we can see here, it does generate much quicker when you're not simulating anything else. All right, so we got that. So we can save that flipbook. And then what we'll do is we'll go over here to motion vector, emissive, and normal, and we'll generate this as well. And we're not going to see it happening in the background, but it is happening. And so from here, we just wait. All right, so it's done now. So let's go ahead and save these flipbooks too. One second here. All right, I'm back. So from this, let's go ahead and click Save these flipbooks as well. Hopefully we get some stuff in our folder over here. So let's check. We've got our render, we've got our motion vector, emissive, and our normal map. So that is what we want. And now let's just go ahead and call this FXT tunnel explosion 02 render. And so what we'll do is copy this. Oh, nope. Rename render.png, and then we'll call this what was this, our motion, and then we'll go here and we'll say emissive.png, and then our normal.png. Rename, and once the software is released, you won't have to do any of this stupid renaming, I promise. All right, normal.png. All right, it should just name it for you. Hopefully we can get that in soon. I think I'm gonna do it because I'm tired of renaming shit. I'll get our coders to implement this. All right, so now let's go to our content browser. Let's go back to here. We'll select all these things. We'll go into the content browser, drag this in like so. It's gonna import the things. We need to turn off sRGB on our normal map. we need to turn off sRGB on our motion vector. And we need to do BC7 compression on our motion vector as well. So we'll turn off sRGB here. Turn on BC compression. That way we don't get any compression artifacts. They used to have something called uncompressed, but it doesn't look like they have that anymore. So BC7 is the closest thing that we can get to that, I believe. And then with our normal map, we want to turn off sRGB. And so we got that. And now let's just go ahead and save everything. And so now what we can do is we'll go ahead and we'll go here, and we could duplicate this emitter right here because it's a similar thing. So we'll go here, we'll say new particle system FX tunnel explosion O2. And so let's go ahead and select that. We'll do this and we will export our emitter. Yes. And so then inside of tunnel explosion 2, we've got this explosion, which, like I said, is similar to the other one that we're doing. And 1 second here. My wife is texting me. All right. There we go. So from here, we've got this similar explosion. Let's go ahead and get the actual explosion going on. So we're going to just, once again, create another material instance from this one, since this is the one that worked. So create material instance, FXM, tunnel explosion O2, I believe is what we should name it. So we got that. We can go here. We'll change our motion vector to tunnel O2 motion. We'll go to albedo tunnel O2. What is this? So this is our render. Then we've got our temperature map. Tunnel O2 emissive. And then we're going to use a normal map in this instance. So we're going to bring in our normal map to O2 tunnel. All right. And so from here, what we've got is we've got that. Everything is working. You're running out of disk space. Whoops, that's funny. All right, so from here, we've got our flipbook, and now we're going to go into our new tunnel explosion. We're going to change this to tunnel O2, so something like this. All right, cool. It's looking good, and we can see that our lifetime is, we're actually going to go from, like, say 2.5 to 6 and kind of do that, and then we won't have as much of a spawn rate, so we're just kind of burst, I think, or maybe speed this up to say 15, but we're going to do like 0.2 as our thing, maybe 0.4, 0.5. That way we get more out of this. And then maybe we could actually have some initial velocity as well, which what we need to do is we need to set this up into the doorway. So we got this. Let's go over here. So it is facing the wrong way. If I rotate this, are we going to get something different? What I could do is I could also flip my UVs. I think that's what I'm going to need to do, is flip my UVs. Yeah, and so I shouldn't rotate this either. Let's go back 90 degrees or whatever it was. All right, so we got that. And then, so what we do is, since we want to change the direction this is going, and since this is cinematic, we can kind of cheat like this. So what we'll do is we'll go to our required, and I believe we want to flip the U only. Yeah, so we can flip our U. We've got that. We're spawning like 7 particles. We probably don't need that many. So we'll do this, and we'll see how this looks. And then also we've got an initial location. I'm going to turn that off since that's from the old emitter. Now let's see what this is looking like. All right, cool. So we've got something that's kind of coming out the doorway. and we'll kind of be back here. So boom, it's coming out the doorway. We need to make the size smaller because this is really big. So we'll maybe do 50. What was that? 50, 50 again. All right, so let's do 25. I reckon 25. And so let's just restart this. So we got something like that. That's not too bad. So we'll go again. But we can see that the sprites are all the way back here. So we actually want the particle system somewhere over here so that it looks like it's coming out the doorway real good. And so then from here, well, what we could do is have a second, I guess, a second ignition sequence or something. But what we'll do is we'll just, let's go ahead and add this to our sequencer first off to make sure that we're getting things the way that we want them to be. So we'll go ahead and add tunnel explosion 02, and then we'll maximize this so we can see that our new camera comes over here. It deactivates about there, and then maybe around here, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add a particle toggle track, and we'll say activate just like that. And so now if we play, we can see what this is going to look like. So we got our stuff over here. We've got ignition, could be faster, like we said. Then it goes through, and and then we've got a quick thing that kind of does that. That was way too quick on the camera movements on this end, I do believe. So we'll slow this down a lot, and then we'll take these items and move them this way. And so let's try again, see what this is going to look like. Maximize our window. We've got our explosion coming down the tunnel, kind of. It blows through. Man, screw that little ball in the way. All right, let's play from here. That should fix it. All right, so tunnel explosion coming through. We could have some maybe screen shake, faster stuff. And the fireball is kind of blurry. I wonder why. I wonder if it's like loading the texture or something like that. I don't know. What we'll do is go through here and tunnel explosion, restart. Yeah, I think it might have to do with, oh, that is really odd. Why is it so pixelated? You know, I think it might have to do with my memory. You know, I think I'm gonna have to clear some clear some stuff off my hard drive. Let's see, is my space? Yeah, I've got 66 megabytes. I don't think that I have enough memory over here to do my thing. So just give me a second. I'm gonna clean some stuff off my hard drive. Let's see. What can I clean off? I don't know. I need everything. Epic Games, maybe no. Sorry, I'm just over here on my other monitor, just doing some stuff, trying to find out what I can. Like, what is causing all this stuff? Origin Games. All right, I'm gonna just delete Battlefield 3. Yeah, there we go. Delete it, and then and hang on, guys, 1 second. All right, I'm back, guys. All right, so now I'm just testing. All right, I got 32 gigabytes free, and let me just empty my recycling bin, wherever that is. Let's see here. Empty. Yes. All right. now I should have enough space for this texture. I literally think that it didn't have enough space. All right, come on. You can do it. Don't do this to me. Let's go here. Tunnel explosion. Render. Because is this that pixelated? No, it's not. And so from here, trying to figure this out. I think what I'll do is, yeah. It also, I wonder if it's also distorted from this stuff. So let me see. Post-process volume bunker. Which, okay, you can't turn it off. That's dumb. All right, whatever. I don't know how to disable this volume. But from here, what we've got that this little thing is doing its thing. And then I don't know why this Tunnel Explosion 02 is so pixelated. You know what, let me restart Unreal. I think that perhaps it's just not reallocating the memory because I ran out of hard drive space. So yes, I want to save everything. I wish it would just say save all and then show me a thing like once I click the X up here. All right, so shouldn't take long to restart. So we'll go ahead and click save all again. We'll go to my Epic Games manager over here, library, and then hopefully it saves soon and we can close this out. All right. So from here, EmberGen Showcase. And let's see, while we wait for that to load, oh, look, it's back already. All right, bunker demonstration. All right, so we've got that. Cool. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, it's got to compile the shaders, I guess. All right, and so while we do that, one thing we could do is create another simulation. This time we'll just create something from scratch on EmberGen. And so let me go to EmberGen. This is probably the last thing I'll do on this particular stream because I have to go eat and stuff. So but we'll do one more simulation, and for this, what we'll do is we'll do some what do you call it? Some dust falling. Let's just see how this looks. All right, there we go. Full quality. Restarting EmberGen worked. Not EmberGen. Restarting Unreal worked. All right, cool. Cool beans. So we've got a big fireball coming out. We can see the distortion from the gas. What we'll do is we'll make it so that, say, just this room is full of gas, but then it like some kind of blast comes through here and fills it. So what we'll do is we'll say inside the sequencer, which I need to load sequencer again, cinematics, bunker explosion, come over here. We've got this, and let's add post process volume, and then we can say actually delete. Yeah, we'll delete you too. I need to actually select the post-process volume that I want. Post-process volume. material. Okay, so it's this one. So it is post-process volume 2. So we're going to go over here, add post-process volume 2. All right, we'll add a track, and we'll say event. No. I don't know, is there a way to, there we go, actor hidden in game. And so we'll go here, and at this point, once we switch to this new camera, we'll go ahead and turn the visibility off. But then over here, we'll turn the visibility on. Oh, nope, wrong thing. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong stuff. Am I? Okay, here we go. All right, let me just delete this keyframe because I don't need it. Oh, come on, delete that keyframe. There we go. All right, so now on my post-process, I'm going to say that it is visible there, and then invisible on the next frames. All right, so now at this rate, if I go over here, does that delete it? No, it does not. How do you turn off post-process? All right, so we can change this, or oh, there's actually a enabled setting here. Yeah, I guess what I'll do is I'll change my blend weight. So I'll add a blend weight thing to my timeline down here, and we can just not worry about this. And so then over here we'll set this, and we'll say like 1, and then over here we'll just lerp it down to 0. And so now we can see that it turns off. All right, not too bad, not too shabby. That'll work for me. And then we'll have the big collapse. So from here, now that we've got our little explosion, we've got a decent enough tunnel explosion. We got a decent enough thing coming out the doorway. And I'll polish all that later. But now I just want to kind of block in some falling debris here. So what we can do is inside of EmberGen, so this is the last texture that I'm going to make for us right now before I have to go. But here what we'll do is we're going to have like some falling dust and whatnot. So I will set my emitter to be at the top up here. Since we're doing dust, we don't need combustion, so we'll change our mode to simple. And then we can increase our smoke weight. We should see that stuff starts falling down a little bit. And then what we can also do is add in a new force type for centrifugal, and then we can get some cool variations here. And now we can see that it's a little bit crazier in motion. And we can turn off our black body shader over here. And now let's go ahead and just make this white, completely white, and then we'll color it in game. Maybe we want to view from this angle to get some of the density and whatnot. And I think that I'm going to want to view this basically head on, like so. So something like that. So now what we'll do is we'll take our radius, and so we'll do this, and we'll say, okay, at the very beginning, we'll make sure it's 0, and then we'll burst to something like that. And then from here, what we can do is go ahead and slide down and make that small again. So let's do something like this. Let's increase that size. It's cool. So now we got a nice burst. We can lower our position. And so now we've got some cool falling dust. And from here, maybe this would look good. We'll have to see. And in this case, we're not maximized for texture space, so we're going to have this animation playing on a longer texture or whatever. So we've got that. And what we could do is also maybe increase our vorticity. So something like that. And I think that's probably decent for some falling dust. We could also turn down our smoke dissipation so that it doesn't dissipate as hard. And so now we've got this. So now we can go ahead and, in this case, I don't think I'm going to do motion vectors or anything. I'm just going to do a simple flipbook export. But let's go ahead and preview this on our flipbook. So we can see that it's going to use the whole entirety of the texture. That's fine with me. So it's going to kind of come from the top. And I think that, you know what? I don't think that a sphere is good for this. We'll actually do a box. And so we'll do something like this. And we'll have it come from that. And we'll change our height to be really small. Something like that. And now we've got something kind of coming down. And this right here, since we're doing a cheat texture, we'll have it kind of in the ceiling or whatever, so it's not gonna matter a whole lot. And so now what we need to do is we need to, if we make our height 0, that does turn it off. But I think that what we'll do instead is we can change our smoke strength so that it does this. All right, so yeah, so we'll just animate our smoke strength. So bring that down to the timeline. So at the beginning, we're going to be a smoke strength of 1, and then we'll fade out to 0. And in this case, I don't want centrifugal force this strong. So we'll significantly lower it. And then what we can do is increase our smoke strength so that it lasts longer and creates a nicer billow here. And then I think that we probably want to change this to directional and make that negative so that it's kind of being forced out. So we have something like that that's rolling nicely. And then I think that perhaps adding a little bit more buoyancy to this will kind of make that be a little bit better. And so in this case, let's change our smoke buoyancy. Instead, we'll increase our force now. So let's kind of force this downwards. All right, so I think that's a pretty cool dust ball or whatever. Kind of looks like it's hitting the ground a little bit. So now let's just get our angles right. I think we'll do maybe this angle right here. And then we'll go ahead and capture this flipbook. So let's just go ahead and do this. Let's uncheck all of these data types. So we'll generate our flipbook like so. And we've got that. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and just save this. So save flipbooks. And then we're going to go to my little window over here. And we're going to say FXT dust fall 01 or something. And then we'll go ahead and import that into our content browser under textures. So import FXT dust fall 01. And now what we can do is I'll go to my materials. We'll do flipbook master. And in this case, I can just duplicate straight from the original master. It's not going to be broken. FXM dust fall 01. And in this case, I don't need a missive or anything. Just going to use my albedo. So we'll just use this. And so now we've got some basic dust. And that's looking pretty nice. So now what we'll do is we'll save that. We'll go to our tonal explosion particle. I'm going to just create a new particle system, FXT dust fall or something. And now we'll go ahead and just spawn this right above here on this area. And then what we'll do is we'll do FXM dust. And so now that we created our dust texture, we'll go ahead and change our sub UV index 0 to 63. And then we'll change our linear interpolation, linear blend. So we'll do 8 by 8, which is what it is. And then over here, which this keeps minimizing. All right, so then over here, what we can do is I'll go ahead and make it so that the initial velocity is basically 0, but we'll just say 25, 25 in our velocity. And then what we could do is maybe set this to velocity, and then we will go down and we'll say, what should we do? Acceleration, expand all, and nope, I just want constant acceleration. No, I'll do just normal acceleration so that some things are slower than others. Whoops, wrong thing again. There we go. So we'll say maybe like 600 to, or no, maybe 200 to 100 or something. I don't know, we'll see how this looks. It's really small. So in this case, we need to increase our size quite a lot. So we'll just say 100. And you know what? I'm actually going to turn velocity off since the smoke moves itself down the flipbook. So we'll go back to square. And then let's go ahead and add in maybe a sphere for a location. So we'll go over here and then we'll turn off our negative Z so that it's just positive in the ceiling. And then let me make sure that my color of life isn't fading. So now we've got something that looks like this, which is too fast. And so we'll go to our lifetime. We'll do maybe 2. And maybe we'll turn acceleration off for now. And we'll just see how this is looking. It's not good enough. So we'll do dust fall again. And now we need to maximize our size. We'll do size by life. And now we'll say maybe 5 or something like that. I don't know. And this is way too many particles, so we'll do like 5. We'll just do a burst. So we'll expand all, maybe 5, remove this, and then make 1 loop. Let's just see what this is doing. All right. So I think that we should start the size large. And once again, since this is a cinematic, I'm not really worried about overdraw or anything like that. So okay, so we can drop this down now. All right, so we got that. Drop it down some more. It's really dark. We can fix that in a bit. So let's go ahead and increase our sphere radius to say 100 or something like that. And then let me change my initial size down to like 75 so that they're a bit more random. And then we'll go here and we will choose a random flip U only. And so now we've got that, and it's looking pretty decent. I think that I might export my maybe normal maps too to get some better lighting on this. I don't know. And then it's also pretty thick, so we'll change our alpha to maybe like 0.5 and 0.5. That's ugly as crap. So I think that our smoke is just too thick inside of EmberGen. So what we can do is we can go into our ray tracer mode. We can see that it is indeed quite thick. And so what we can do from here is we can go to visualization and we'll pause it right about here. And then we'll say, let's see, where's it at? Our smoke density scale. So something like this. And now it's going to render to be a lot thinner and more like falling smoke, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and preview this. It looks fine to me. And so hopefully we have something kind of nice. Let's go ahead and generate our flipbook for this. It's going to be a lot darker, but I think that's fine. Now we'll go here, rename, save all, delete that, and let's paste that. And now we'll just re-import it and we'll see what it looks like. So not as bad. I think that what I might want to do, just for the sake of this particular one, is I'm going to change my shading model to unlit. And then we'll see here. I think that I might need to say use emissive. Yeah, so let's, we'll just do this. We'll see if the alpha works. No, but the alpha's not going to work because, so what we'll do is we'll go back to default lit. We'll go here. We'll just do additive. Now, but additive's probably going to look like butt too. So I think we'll go to translucent, and then in my flipbook master material, we got our base color. And what if it's unlit? Looks amazing. Can't wait to try this out. Yeah, I can't wait for everybody else to try it out too, man. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. In this case, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a really simple FXM dust fall 02 or something. So we're going to go here, texture, plug that into my emissive, FXT dust. And then we'll go over here. We'll say unlit, but translucent. So we've got that. And then that's basically all I need for this flipbook. Actually, what I'll do is particle color. We'll go here and we'll multiply this by particle color so that we can tweak the colors a little bit. And now, inside of our dust fall, what we can do is let's make sure that this is bright enough. And so now we'll just restart this and see what it looks like. Oh, I'm using the wrong one, so let me change my material real quick. Dust fall 02. All right, well that looks better, but I need some alpha because it's opaque. Let me see, translucent, and then plugging in my opacity. Now I'm saving it, and now let's see. Saving real quick. Boom! Booyah! Look at that. Not too shabby for a quick dust fall or whatever. And what we'll do is we'll have it just slowly accelerate, so like -20, -25 or something, or 0, so that some accelerate, some don't. All right, and then from here, so since we've got that, perhaps we want a little bit less of them, so maybe 3, but we want to increase our sphere radius once again, so we'll do say 250, and maybe let's increase the spawn rate again. We'll do 15, and so there we go. Now we need to change our lifetime to be like 3 or something. And we could use motion vectors on this thing too. We also need some depth fade on this, and then I want to recolor this to be a little bit more within the realm of what we're seeing here. So let's see, we're gonna do something like that, maybe a little bit more on the yellow side, a little bit darker, and then let's change my secondary color. So over here, got my secondary color. Oh, wrong shit. I hate having to work on one monitor. All right, so we've got that, and then it just kind of dies out. That's weird that it does that. What does my last frame look like? What is my last frame on this? Huh. It's odd. Okay, I thought that it would do a little more. Let's see what happens if we skip 2 frames. We'll generate the flipbook again. All right, so that doesn't really work. So just 1. We'll see if we can't get some more texture space out of this too. All right, let's try again. Even more, it looks like. All right, so there we go. That's looking pretty good. Get some more. I'm just zooming in with my camera. You can't really see it. Oh, nope, that's too much. So you can see how quickly you can change your variations here. And what we can do is we can just go to our flipbook preview mode and then zoom out a little bit. And now we can see that this will probably work right. All right, that's a little bit on the better side. Do you normally use Cascade instead of Niagara? Yes, I do. I have not really used Niagara. I don't particularly see too much of a point to use Niagara yet. If you're doing like more advanced stuff, then you would probably want to use it. Like if you're trying to do stuff spawning off meshes and whatnot, then yeah. But for what I'm doing, just some simple particles, I know Cascade like the back of my hand, so it's a lot better for me, at least when streaming and stuff, but I haven't really used Niagara. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, so we got that. Should be a little bit better of a flipbook here. Let's just restart, see what we got. Okay, so cool. And then I guess what I'll do is we'll go over here and maybe we'll do subtract, and then so if it's subtract 1, it's going to go to 0, and so what we could do is we could say put our particle color in here, and then I don't know, plug this in here, maybe a really simple dissolve, and try and get it to dissolve a little bit since our actual flipbook doesn't. So we'll see what this looks like. So color over life, we'll go here, change this. Then we can see that it is now dissolving. All right, and so what we can do now is we'll say, let's change this right here to like 0.8 for the 0. And then we'll see that it just kind of fades out instead of a harsh whatever. Now we need to add depth fade to this as well. And so let's see, depth fade. We'll plug this in, opacity, just like so, remove those hard edges. And so from here, we've got this. And let me just restart. All right, cool. So we got that. Let's increase our acceleration, say -50, -25. And so we've got stuff that's coming out faster, and then it fades out. That's better for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my big building explosion that I have right here that I made for another Unreal project. And I'm going to take these rocks. So let me select my dust fall. I'm going to select these rocks. I'm going to export them. And so now over here, let's see, dust fall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that my rocks just kind of fall out. So we're going to change my initial velocity. We're going to go over here. Let's see, initial location, change that. 100, -100, 100, or let's see, -100. All right, so we got that. Maybe we want to do like 200 and 200 so that it starts above, maybe 300 and 200. I don't know, we'll see. 400, let's see, 250, 250, -250, -250. All right, so now we've got that. Let's see what it looks like over here. Boom, so we got some big rocks that kind of come down from this thing. It's not too bad. Let's see, that's our dust fall. What is this? Depth test. I don't need that. Let's kind of bring this back a little bit. So boom, now we got that. And what we can do is we can increase our spawn rate. So I'll just delete this. I'll say something like this. Cool, and now we got some cool little rocks. We could also decrease the size, so say 0.5, and then 0.2 or something. And we could increase our emitter duration. So make it say maybe like 4 or something. And then we'll make sure that our lifetime isn't too high. But all right, and then after collision, let's see what our delay is. There we go. All right. So cool. So now we got some little things kind of bouncing around. Let me change my maximum collision amount or something like that. So we'll say 10 and 15 or something, and then maybe 0.3 so that we get a little bit more bounce factor off this. Cool. So now what we need to do is finally just kind of hook this up to our explosion thing. So this shows that EmberGen can do some little dust fades and whatnot. It's looking pretty good. And so now, just inside of our sequencer, we'll go over here, bunker explosion. Let's see, sequencer is right here. So what we'll do, we'll add sequencer dust fall. Let's add a track, particle toggle. That's what I want. And then whenever this stuff right here is falling, so we'll say whenever this right here is starting to come down, just like that. So we want to go ahead and toggle this particle. So it's right here. We're going to activate that. And then let's kind of see what it's going to look like. Oh, I think I need to wait for it to redo its thing. All right, so once this fades out, it should be good. All right, so let's try again. It's going to fall any minute now. We got our big explosion back there. Boom. I think that we should probably trigger this even sooner. Maybe something like this. And I think that our little thing right here is way too fast. So we'll just, let's see, big rock, metal pylon, all this stuff. Just say something like that. All right. And then perhaps what we could do is also add some rotation to like this little rock or something whenever it's falling. So we'll go here. We've got it selected. And let's add some rotation to make it look like it's doing something better. And let's go ahead and add that transform. And so now it looks a little bit cleaner. We've got a little pylon falling down. So boom. All right. So that's pretty cool. It's not too shabby. Let's kind of see what we've got here. All right. We got our tunnel. It's a very poor explosion. Bust through the door. And then shows its thing, but it looks like our camera turned off. I don't want my camera to turn off. So let's try this again. Gas leaking, something ignites it, boom, it explodes, it's coming down the tunnel. Big explosion through the doorway, and we got some dust that falls or whatever. All right. So a pretty good start for the day, I think. That's a pretty good start. I don't think that it's finished. I think that we could have some better ignition, like an ignition sequence for the actual tunnel explosion. Maybe have a way to ignite the gas a little bit better. But from here, what we could do is kind of, tweak our stuff a little bit better and whatnot. But we'll watch it just one more time to see what it looks like. It's pretty decent. Fireball coming down the tunnel and big fireball through the door. Stuff falls down, and then we got our collapse. So yeah, that's it. That's basically the end of the stream, guys. I'm done for now. That shows some things that we got done. So we did a explosion in the hallway, a big explosion through the doorway, and then we got the collapse. And so that's 3 cool little textures, and we can go back and kind of look at what we did. So we've got our, looks like we've got our tunnel explosive emissive over here. And then, which, you know, like I said, this needs to be fixed on the export, but yeah, that's practically it, guys. I don't have anything else to share. So this is our fireball. So I was streaming for 2 hours, so this is what you can make in 2 hours. But yeah, lots of cool stuff with EmberGen, guys. Here's some quick little things. Here's a fire tornado. Bloop. Ta-da! Fire tornado. And smoke column. And other stuff. So you can do all kinds of cool things with EmberGen. Raging fire. So yeah, all right. That's everything that I got, guys. Peace out for now.